Alright, just up. Just... No, up. No, not through... Oh my god, not through the flowers. I just bought these things. I spent like $80 on these. Oh my god. Real nice. Real convenient. Oh, we're doing the video thing here. Let me, sorry, I didn't want to inconvenience you all. Anyways, hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and inconvenience here is going to be the theme of this video. Now, for anybody who does not know, these Joy-Cons are known for something. Not HD Rumble, not any of the other, cuteness or cool things that they have to offer. They are known for something called Joy-Con Drift. And if you don't know what Joy-Con Drift is, I will really wonder if you've been following the Switch at all. But it's kind of a little something like I experienced there. Sometimes it could be minor, which just it happens for a second or two. You can calibrate, you can update your Joy-Cons, and it seems to be resolved, at least for the most part. Or it can be major to the point where you cannot control your character easily enough in a game. You can't navigate menus properly. Sometimes it affects one Joy-Con, sometimes it affects both. It depends on what's going on and so many different factors, but the point being here, the Switch has been out since March of 2017, and this seems to be an issue that just has not gone away. If we're talking about controllers, this is kind of like the red ring of death for a little controller right here that you can use together or split up. Oh, and for anybody who has one of these, a Switch Lite, even worse. I mean, because you can't swap it out. It's one piece, all right? It's one piece. Now, I wanted to make this video just to kind of talk about it, air out my thoughts, whatever it might be on here, because I found this to be a little bit disappointing. And you know what? Since we've been talking about just like disappointing, odd, sad news, whatever it is, and just things that aren't good in regards to Nintendo and the Switch, I did give them props, mind you. I did give Nintendo props for deciding to not pull Jump Rope Challenge. But aside from that, it feels like I've just been reporting on a lot of negative stuff in regards here recently. So why not pile on top of it and make something a little entertaining? I'm going to be citing Video Game Chronicle here, and they've done a fantastic job really covering this across many different articles, but Nintendo is reportedly arguing, they say here, that Joy-Con Drift isn't a real problem or hasn't caused anyone inconvenience. What? What? Look, maybe I'm the one that's wrong here. Maybe we're all wrong. I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about here, right? Huge company. They're worldwide. They got many different divisions. Maybe we're just all incorrect on here. We're just completely blowing this over, but I mean, here's the thing. Back on July 20th of 2019, it was actually announced that there was going to be a class action lawsuit filed against Nintendo exclusively for the drifting Joy-Con controllers on here. And 4 days later, on July 24th, 2019, it was also reported that Nintendo responded with action here by stating that if you had Joy-Cons that experienced this drifting issue, guess what? You can get a refund or you can get a repair for free, even if you're outside of your warranty. Oh, and trust me, if you followed along with the Switch RMA Chronicles, you might realize at this point I am a master. I'm a little bit of a professional with the Nintendo Switch RMAs, alright? I've had 7 related to these. Surprisingly, none with the drifting Joy-Cons on here, mind you. And by the thing at the beginning of the video, that was all fake. That was just me, alright, messing around. But just look when I get it now at this point. I haven't had more than 7, but in regards to controllers, the Switch console, and I mean just overall the Switch ecosystem, I've had to do 7 RMAs, alright? So, I mean, it is a little bit nice here that they were doing refunds on that and, offering free repairs. And that's why if you do have Joy-Con Drift on any of your Joy-Cons or your Switch Lite, you should contact Nintendo and you should get that done, because you don't have to repair it yourself unless you really want to, but you can contact them completely out of warranty. And these controllers here, by the way, I found out the Switch itself has a 12-month warranty, the controllers have a 3-month warranty. But that doesn't matter in regards to drifting, because if you report a drifting issue, guess what? You're able to get the repair done for free. Although not in all territories. Some territories are not able to get these done for free, and for those territories, Nintendo, that's just disappointing. Come on. I'm also just poking at this as well, too, because back earlier this year, like this is like 3 months ago, June 30th, it was reported that Nintendo's president actually apologized for this. Now, he's saying they cannot comment on any specific actions we may take just because, you know, there's an open lawsuit against them. I totally get that. However, just look at this right here. The Nintendo's president has issued the company's first public apology for Switch's drifting Joy-Con issue. Speaking in a Japanese investor Q&A this month, translated by Video Game Chronicle, Furukawa apologized for, quote, any inconvenience caused to those experiencing the controller issue. Hey, look, there was a inconvenience. You see that, right? This is like so meme-worthy here. It's like Nintendo, they're sorry for any inconvenience caused, but also Nintendo, Joy-Con drift isn't a real problem or hasn't caused anyone any inconvenience. This is just... To me, this is a situation of the right hand not talking with the left when issuing out public stuff, but you would think that if the president of your company is saying and apologizing for this, and they're using the same keyword, inconvenience, that you're deciding to use, well then what the hell? Now, Nintendo has also tried to squeak out of this as well, too. They've tried to dismiss this lawsuit, and they've said no to this. And the reason why this is coming back up here in October, this is actually published October 2nd of 2020. The law firm here was actually contacting people who had been affected by the Joy-Con drift issue, and in short, by October 16th, they were looking for as many people as possible affected by this to send a 90-second or less video to them, just demonstrating the issue, so they would do a supercut in court and, you know, have a big montage of nothing but drifting. You know, if that's going to be a really long montage or video as well, too, I'm sure some people are going to get sick watching that. Oh, and it gets even better here, because remember I said there's already a lawsuit going on? Well, this is more just kind of a call out here, but in September of 2020, it was announced that there was a French consumer group that also called on Nintendo to get this fixed up here. Now, according to them here, they actually identified two flaws that could be behind the problem, and that's early wear and tear of the electronic circuits and an air tightness defect which enables fragments and dust to get inside the controller. And I have seen people kind of like use contact cleaner or blow these out to, you know, clean that up. So I guess, you know, kind of like a Nintendo, like an original Nintendo cartridge or Famicom cartridge, you blow on it and it ends up working, even though it's worse for the thing in the end. Now, the disappointing thing here is that they're claiming that Nintendo recently modified the Joy-Con controllers, which is true, they have updated them at least once, but they failed to fix the problems that were identified, so they're still there. And they were quoted here saying, and this is translated, mind you, the nature of the failure, how frequently it occurs for players, the limited lifespan of the products, and the manufacturer's inertia despite being informed of the defect, these are all characteristic of planned obsolescence practices at Nintendo, and oh boy, you do not want to be accused of obsolescence, like planned obsolescence practices. For anyone who does not know, this is essentially the practice of producing a product and continuing to produce it, knowing that it has a major point of failure and that it's going to break in some way, and the consumer's going to have to either pay to get it repaired by you or someone else, or they're going to have to go out and get a new one. It's just knowingly being shipped out with a defect. A couple of things I could think of with this would be the Xbox 360, the fat models, for example, where they had their warranties extended twice. They had their warranties extended from 3 months to 12 months because people were getting red rings of death like a few months after they got their systems, and then from 12 months to 36 months because it was oddly suspicious that a lot of people owned an Xbox 360 and about 13 or 14 months into ownership end up getting the red ring, and they would have to pay, you know, $150 to get it repaired officially from Microsoft. Another example I'm thinking with this as well too is I'm sure anybody watching this has a phone, has a smartphone, or access to a cell phone of some kind, and you might have noticed after you use your phone for a long enough period of time over the course of, you know, 1, 2, 3 years, it just doesn't run as fast as it could be, and it's kind of slow and it's sluggish, and people say, oh, it's because I have a bunch of junk in here, or the new apps aren't as compatible on here, or the new OS just doesn't run as well on this. And while those could kind of all be valid excuses, a lot of people said, well, I swear, like, I mean, my phone would be slower, but like this is like almost too slow. Like I wonder if companies kind of throttle and do this on purpose. And it turned out Apple was actually doing that with the iPhones. And to Apple's credit, or not their credit, but just the excuse they gave for it is they said, oh, well, when you use a battery for long enough, it becomes dangerous to use at, full peak capacity and such, and actually, really fully utilizing it and getting all the power you can out of it. So when the battery starts to age and it has more wear and tear on it, what we do in order to protect you, the consumer, our beloved customer, we end up throttling the rest of the phone. So that way, not as much power is used from the battery. It's not called on as much. We're not wearing it down as fast on there, and therefore we're doing it to keep you safe. No. You were doing it so that about 12 months or 18 months into getting an iPhone, you're sitting there thinking, oh, wow, this thing is slow. Maybe I should pick up the new iPhone. Either way, at this point, I mean, they were called out for it, to their credit. Now I can say that properly. They did issue a software update, and now there is a feature where you can just disable that completely. So you can either have them throttle your battery, or you can realize, no, I don't care. Just don't throttle me, for the love of God. Please, don't throttle. Now, again, by the time this video does go out, this is more just kind of an informative type thing here, and something I find is kind of entertaining on this, but it looks like that, this is, by this point here, the law firm needs everything by October 16th, but I have no doubts by October 16th they're going to gather more than enough videos on here covering this. I am going to be following this because I would like to see the end result on here, and what do I think is going to happen? I certainly think it's going to take, at least maybe 2 years before we see some kind of settlement or something out of this. I do think if people are impacted, or if they own Joy-Con or what have you, they'll be able to, sign up on that and hopefully get a payout of some kind. And what could the payout be? Could be something like $8. It could be something like getting a brand new pair of Joy-Cons. I'm not sure. So, I mean, something like $80, something like that. I believe when Sony ended up doing their settlement, they were sending out some like $55, $65, something like that. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was for people who had purchased the PlayStation 3 during a certain amount of time before other OS was deprecated out of the PlayStation 3's official firmware. So, either way on that, I'm going to keep updated on this. I'll probably post about it more on social media or something, and we'll see what happens here. But one thing I'd like to know from you all, just from this, odd, random, kind of negative video, I'm not sure. Have you experienced Joy-Con drift? And more importantly, I'd actually want to know, and I want to hear from anybody who might have a Switch Lite who's experienced Joy-Con drift, and how that experience has been, if they just lived with it, or if you have decided to go through Nintendo's RMA process, or if you repaired it yourself. I'd be curious on that, because I hear more about the Joy-Cons and less about the Switch Lite, although I'm fully aware that the Switch Lite does have it. Anyways, that is about all I have for this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, a like would absolutely be appreciated. If you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too. And sorry I might have inconvenienced you with this video, but I figured we'd have some fun here. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching and listening, everyone. And until next time.